Now check this website out. Like many other co-man websites, they all speak to in one way or the other about comprehensive testing and quality control and making sure that the formulas are routinely tested along with the ingredients. Here's the reality and industry secret number one, and that is testing is often exaggerated. When you dig into the regulations, for the most part, FDA doesn't specify which parameters to test for, nor the frequency of the testing, nor what the pass-fail limits should be, which makes things really tricky. And a lot of this is up to the manufacturers to determine. And so what happens? Well, you get manufacturers that want to save money, so they test on a rotational basis, and in some cases modify the pass-fail specifications whereby testing isn't even required. Now, are they breaking any laws by doing this? Not necessarily, assuming that they can back up their reasoning with scientific rationale and data. But doing that is one thing, whereas to market quality on the website and tout all the testing and quality control that they do, and then name drop high performance liquid chromatography or infrared spectroscopy, but knowing now that they actually skip testing or only test once a year, well, it just doesn't feel right, does it? And understandably, a lot of brand owners don't know this, and essentially you're getting this false amplification of how important testing is and the frequency of testing that's being conducted when, in fact, it's not being done at all. Which, if you're new to the supplement industry, this may be a huge revelation. Well, guess what? There's more. If this is your first time here, my name is Brian, and it's great to meet you. I've been in the supplement and food space since 2005, specializing in quality assurance and regulatory affairs, helping companies from startups to established brands grow their business and navigate the regulatory world of FDA and FTC. And if you're thinking of growing and launching a supplement brand, finding your point of differentiation is such an important piece of the process, which is why I want to dive into some of the supplement industry skeletons, if you will, because I believe there's an opportunity for future brand owners to leverage this to your advantage. Now, don't get me wrong, certifications are a good thing. It provides a level of assurance from a third party that a product or manufacturer is doing things right. But when you've been in the game as long as I have, you can clearly see that there's this conflict of interest, if I can even call it that. You see, the certifying body has an interest of certifying a product or certifying a manufacturer because at the end of the day, the certifying body makes money on them through the certification fees, auditing, and testing fees. Now, I know that some certifications are better than others, but I've also seen some certifications where there's really zero transparency on how they certify products or what the pass-fail criteria really is. Essentially, all a brand has to do is just submit documents, upload it to a website, pay a fee, and then boom, they get the certification and they get permission to use the logo. I don't know about you, but to me, that feels so wrong and strips away the entire intent and purpose of a good certification. Now, let's just say that you're developing a formula for your brand and you're shopping around for unique and innovative raw materials. Now, here's one example that I found where it states that NMN can be used to improve neuronal function in the brain and reduce tissue inflammation. What FDA and FTC is really targeting and care about is the end person in the distribution chain that is ingesting or buying the product, and they want to make sure that person isn't being misled or ingesting anything harmful. So with that said, raw material suppliers can pretty much say whatever the heck they want, and they aren't held to the same standards that, say, a brand owner is held to. And the same logic applies to contract manufacturers. They might say made in the USA on their website in reference to their geographical location, but for a brand to put an American flag on the label, well, that's a very different standard of which would be heavily scrutinized by the FTC. The big takeaway here is that the raw material suppliers and contract manufacturers in practicality are held to a different standard than, say, the actual brand, which is why it's so important to recognize this and to set the right expectations up front and keep your suppliers accountable rather than relying on them for their expertise. Speaking of which, I know that hunting for the right contract manufacturer isn't easy, which is why I created this PDF to help you find the right fit contract manufacturer for your brand. Link in the description down below to download it today. Now, I see this with a lot of brands where they tout how they utilize a board of experts to create a formula or develop a product, but chances are a lot of these experts and board members and advisors are simply paid a fee to use their name and their face and to occasionally post content. While sure, some of the doctors might have some say as to what ingredients they should be looking at or which raw material suppliers they should be in touch with, but beyond a few emails and some face-to-face lunch meetings, these advisors for the most part aren't in the thick of things. They're not formulating test samples or reviewing the literature or actually engineering a product. Instead, they're giving presentations, maybe traveling for a lecture, or maybe they have their own 9-to-5 job, even though the brand website might give a very, very different impression. FDA audits are a good thing, and I know that some manufacturers really like to emphasize this point. We've been audited by FDA this year and we have 0 observations. We are the best. But to me, the audit is just a snapshot in a point of time where the manufacturer was given ample notice by FDA of the visit, where the manufacturer can clean up their documents and hire consultants in preparation of that audit, where the manufacturer has home field advantage and truly knows what their major flaws are and can redirect the FDA auditor's attention to different things. And we know that the FDA auditor is probably exhausted from all the travel and visiting other sites and writing up reports. Add it all up and you've got the right set of variables to, how should I say this, place less weight into the significance of an FDA audit. A better way, in my opinion, is to take a multi-audit approach, some through certifying bodies, other times through the government agencies, and then other times by the brand owner themselves, of which I've had the pleasure of doing and has allowed me to really look at some of the operations and systems, not necessarily against FDA requirements, but also against a client's needs and wants. It's one thing to talk about testing and FDA expectations, but it's another thing to talk about supply chain issues, inventory issues, and testing from the consumer's expectations point of view, which is a huge distinction right there. And if you're looking for a manufacturer, 2 things. Number 1, our clients do get access to our manufacturer list. And if you want to work with us, check out the links below. And number 2, be sure to watch my videos here to help you launch and grow your supplement brand. Until next time, cheers.